Think the Corolla never breaks down? Dead wrong. I'm about to show you the 5 chronic defects every repair shop hides from you, and the last one could cost you $2,000 just like that. If you own a Corolla, stop everything and watch this until the end, because what I'm about to reveal could save you thousands of dollars out of your pocket. What's up, everyone? How's it going? This is Garage Scams, the channel that exposes the fraud and rip-offs that crooked mechanics pull on unsuspecting car owners. And today's topic is heavy, because we're talking about the world's best-selling car, the Toyota Corolla, over 50 million units sold since 1966. Everybody says the Corolla is indestructible, that it's the car that never fails, that it's the best choice if you want reliability. And look, that's not a lie. The Corolla really is one of the most dependable cars in America. But, and there's always a but, even the Corolla has weak points that show up between 30,000 and 70,000 miles. And that's exactly where shady mechanics see a golden opportunity to take your money. Today, I'm going to reveal the 5 most common chronic defects in the Corolla from 2020 to 2025, the current generation rolling through the streets of Los Angeles, Dallas, Miami, Chicago, and New York. I'm going to show you how to identify each problem, what it really costs to fix, and most importantly, how to avoid getting ripped off and charged 10 times more than it should cost. And I'm warning you right now, the last defect on this list is the most expensive and the easiest one for them to turn into a scam. So don't go anywhere, because at the end, I'm going to give you a complete checklist so you never get scammed at a repair shop again. Let's jump straight to the first chronic defect of the Corolla. Defect number 1. Front suspension noise. If your Corolla makes a clunking sound or sharp knock when you go over speed bumps or potholes, pay close attention to this. 90% of the time, the problem is in the sway bar end links or the stabilizer bar bushings up front. These parts are cheap. We're talking about $50 to $100 each, depending on where you are in the country. But here comes the classic scam. You take your Corolla to the shop, you mention to the mechanic there's a noise in the suspension, and he tells you, "Oh, buddy, this is really bad. We need to replace the complete struts, the control arms, do an alignment and balance, and while we're at it, change the tie rod ends." Total estimate, $1,500 or more. See the trick? They turned a $100 problem into a $1,500 one. And the worst part is, many Corolla owners fall for this scam because they trust the brand blindly and think if something sounds wrong, it must be serious. Here's the reality. If your car still brakes fine, doesn't pull to one side when braking, and the struts don't have visible oil leaks, you most likely only need to replace the end links or bushings. Nothing more. Period. Don't let yourself get fooled with inflated diagnoses. My anti-scam advice for this problem is simple. When you get to the shop, ask them to lift the car on the rack and show you exactly where the play is. If the mechanic starts making up problems without showing you physical evidence, grab your keys and get out of there fast. But wait, because the next defect is even more common and creates confusion even among honest mechanics. Defect number 2. Minor engine oil leak. This problem mainly shows up in the 2.0 dynamic force engine in the Corolla, the one that comes in the more powerful versions. Owners start noticing little oil spots under the car or a greasy film on the oil pan after 40,000 miles. Here's the technical detail you need to understand. In most cases, this leak comes from the oil pan gasket or the valve cover, 2 relatively simple repairs that cost between $150 and $300 with labor included. It's just a matter of changing the gasket, cleaning the surfaces well, and applying original Toyota sealant. But guess what crooked shops do? They tell you the problem is the crankshaft seal, a part that's deep inside the engine and requires removing the transmission to replace. Automatic estimate, $2,500 to $3,000. Let me explain the difference. If the leak is just a film of oil that looks like sweat on the metal, without drops falling to the ground, it's a gasket or seal. If oil is constantly dripping and forming a puddle under the car when it's parked, then yes, it could be a crankshaft seal. But even in that case, an honest mechanic would do an inspection with brake cleaner and fluorescent dye to confirm the exact source before tearing apart half your engine. Toyota even issued internal technical service bulletins to dealerships indicating that this minor leak problem is solved simply by checking the correct torque on the oil pan bolts and applying new sealant. That's simple. But of course, shady shops don't read Toyota technical bulletins. They only read your credit card. And speaking of problems that shops turn into gold mines, defect number 3 is champion at generating abusive estimates. Defect number 3, CVT transmission, hesitation, or jerk. If when starting your Corolla, you feel a small jolt or delay when putting it in drive, or if the transmission seems to hesitate before accelerating, don't panic yet. This symptom, 90% of the time, has two main causes. The CVT transmission fluid is old and needs changing, or the computer software is outdated and needs reprogramming. A CVT fluid change with original Toyota WS fluid costs between $200 and $300 anywhere in America. The software update at the official dealership is free or costs at most $50. We're talking about a total of $350 maximum to solve the problem. Now listen to the scam they pull. You get to the shop, describe the symptom, and the mechanic tells you with a serious face, "Oof, buddy, this is the CVT transmission that's already damaged. We need to rebuild it or replace it completely. Estimate between $8,000 and $12,000. Yes, you heard that right. $8,000 to $12,000. And you know what's the saddest part? There are people who pay that ridiculous amount when the problem could have been solved with a simple fluid change. The Corolla's CVT transmission is robust and durable, but like any mechanical component, it needs its maintenance on time. Toyota recommends changing the CVT fluid every 40,000 miles, but many owners don't do it because it doesn't appear in the basic maintenance manual. Here's my golden advice. If your Corolla has more than 40,000 miles and you've never changed the transmission fluid, do it now. Don't wait for symptoms to appear, and if you already have the hesitation, before authorizing any expensive rebuild, demand they do the fluid change and software update first. 95% of the time, the problem magically disappears. But pay attention, because defect number 4 is the favorite of shops to make you believe your car has a serious problem when it's actually something ridiculously simple. Defect number 4. Headlight goes out or DRL doesn't turn on. If your Corolla's headlight goes out while you're driving, or if the daytime running lights don't come on when you start the car, they're going to try to scare you with super expensive diagnoses. But the truth is that 90% of the time, the problem is a blown fuse or a loose connector in the headlight wiring harness. A fuse literally costs $2. $2. Replacing it takes 5 minutes. If it's the connector, the repair can cost at most $30 in labor. But shady shops are going to tell you it's the headlight module, the ballast, or the light control computer. Inflated estimate, between $600 and $1,200. This scam is particularly common in Texas and Florida, where crooked mechanics take advantage of the fact that people don't even know where the fuse box is. They literally charge you $1,000 to replace a $2 part. It's armed robbery but legal. My anti-scam recommendation is this. Before taking your car to the shop for minor electrical problems, check the fuse box yourself. It's in the owner's manual where it's located and how to identify each fuse. If you see a blown one, replace it yourself. If that solves it, you just saved at least $500 and a trip to the shop. And if after the replacement the problem persists, then yes, take it to a specialized automotive electrician, not just any shop. And now, yes, we've reached defect number 5, the most expensive and the one that generates the most scams across America. Defect number 5, weak air conditioning or doesn't cool. If your Corolla blows warm air instead of ice cold, especially on really hot days, this is the problem that shops love because they can charge you a fortune without you being able to verify if they actually did the work. The real cause of weak air conditioning in the Corolla is usually one of these 3 things. The cabin temperature sensor is failing and costs between $80 and $120. The cabin air filter is clogged and costs $15. Or the refrigerant charge is low and needs recharging, which costs between $50 and $100. We're talking about problems that cost at most $150 to solve, but here comes the master scam. The crooked mechanic is going to tell you the AC compressor is burned out and needs complete replacement, plus condenser replacement, plus line cleaning, plus refrigerant charge. Total estimate, between $2,000 and $3,000. And you know what's the worst part? Many times they don't even replace the compressor. They charge you the $3,000, put gas in the system, change the filter, and done. The air starts cooling again, and you believe they actually replaced the compressor. It's the perfect scam, because you have no way to verify if they actually did the work without taking everything apart again. This type of scam is endemic in shops in Arizona, Nevada, and Southern California, where the summer heat makes people panic when the AC doesn't cool well. Mechanics know this and take advantage of that desperation. My definitive advice for this problem is the following. Before authorizing any compressor replacement, demand they do a system pressure test with gauges. If the system holds pressure, The compressor is fine and you only need a refrigerant charge or sensor replacement. If pressure drops quickly, there may be a leak, but even then the compressor isn't necessarily damaged. And if you definitely need to replace the compressor, ask them to show you the old part before they take it away. Check that it's actually damaged and has the manufacturer's serial number. If they refuse to show it to you, it's because they never replaced it. Recap and final warning. And with that, you now know the 5 chronic defects of the Corolla that repair shops use to pull million-dollar scams on you. Let's recap quickly so you don't forget anything. 1. Suspension noise that's almost always cheap end links, but they want to charge you for expensive struts.
2. Minor oil leak. That's just a gasket, but they want to charge you for a crankshaft seal. 3. CVT hesitation. That's old fluid, but they want to charge you for a complete rebuild. 4. Headlight that goes out. That's a $2 fuse, but they want to charge you for a $1,000 module. 5. Warm air. That's a sensor or refrigerant, but they want to charge you for a $3,000 compressor. The Corolla is an amazing car, reliable, economical, and durable. But precisely because of that indestructible reputation, many owners let their guard down and blindly trust any mechanic. And that's exactly what crooked shops are waiting for to pull the scam on you. So my final message to you is this. Know your car, learn the common problems. Always ask for a detailed diagnosis before authorizing repairs. And never ever let them pressure you to make quick decisions at the shop. If a mechanic tells you that you have to decide right now or it's going to get worse, that's a red flag. Real mechanical problems don't get worse overnight, but scams do need you to decide fast before you realize the deception. If this video helped you, if you learned something new that can save you thousands of dollars, give me a like right now. Share this content with everyone you know who has a Corolla, because the best defense against scams is information. And if you're not subscribed to the Garage Scams channel yet, subscribe now and hit the bell, because every week we're exposing the most common frauds committed in shops and dealerships across America. And now tell me in the comments, which of these 5 defects have you already experienced? Did they try to overcharge you at some shop? Write your complete experience, because together we help each other identify honest shops and the ones that are just trying to rip us off. The next video is going to be even stronger. I'm going to reveal the 5 most common scams that official dealerships pull when you take your car in for maintenance. Yes, you heard right, dealerships also have their dirty tricks, and I'm going to expose them all, so don't miss that video. See you in the next one. Take care, and remember, here at Garage Scams, we expose the scam before it happens to you. Until next time.